That's why Manny Pacquiao, after Marquez knocked him out, Freddie Roach said, I want you to take a year off. That was a bad knockout.
Manny Pacquiao is negotiating with Barrios to fight at 147. No tears. I haven't heard one tear. So guess what?
What happens when a man steps into the ring with a legend whose spirit never retired? And what do you do when that legend's return feels less like a fairy tale and more like a dangerous gamble with fate?
Since we know that Mario Barrios and Manny Pacquiao has been in serious negotiations.
There are boxing stories, and then there are epics. And this right here has all the makings of an explosive Greek tragedy wrapped in Vegas neon. Joe Rogan, never one to pull punches with his words, has issued a bold and sobering warning. Mario Barrios, do not do it. Do not stand across the ring from Manny Pacquiao. Not because Pacquiao is still the monster he once was, but because the very act of this fight being allowed raises every red flag imaginable.
Let me ask you, is it a good fight? Mario Barrios versus Tank Davis at 147. Yes, it is.
Let us start with the basics. Manny Pacquiao is 46 years old. That is not just a number, it is a timeline of war. He has 72 fights under his belt, and every one of those left a mark. His hands have been weapons since the late 1990s. His wars with Morales, Barrera, Marquez, and Mayweather are etched into the stone tablets of boxing's Mount Olympus. But Father Time does not play favorites. It does not matter if you are the pride of the Philippines or a multi-time world champion, the clock runs out for everyone.
Oh, you're 30, he's 46, hasn't fought in 4 years. Like, in your mind, how do you see the fight going? How are you going to beat Manny?
And yet, here he is again. Announced with the kind of showbiz glitz you would expect from a Tyson comeback or a YouTube influencer bout. Pacquiao's return is not just surprising, it is troubling. This is not a warm-up fight. He is not facing a retired welterweight for charity. No. He is going straight into the fire, challenging Mario Barrios for a world title. You heard that correctly, the WBC sanctioned this madness. A 46-year-old, inactive, unranked fighter is now stepping in for a championship bout against a man in his physical prime.
Or what do you see yourself doing to him?
Yeah, I just had to use, all of that, like the, as busy as I've been in my career.
Joe Rogan's face may say it best, somewhere between disbelief and a slow-building migraine. On his podcast, Between Jokes and Truth Bombs, Rogan made it crystal clear. This is the kind of situation that could end badly, very badly.
Won world titles in 8 different weight classes. Who the f does that?
And the way he did it. Like that quote. I'm a huge fan of Cotto. I love this school.
Let us be real. Barrios is not the second coming of Sugar Ray Leonard. But he is 30, fresh, and active. He has not spent the last 4 years making political speeches or attending Senate meetings. While Pacquiao was shaking hands in a suit, Barrios was still sweating in gyms, cutting weight, and taking hits in sparring sessions. So why is this fight even happening? The answer is simple: money. Cold, hard, brutal economics. Boxing no longer pretends to be a sport built on rankings or logic. It is a carnival now, where fights are booked for views, not validity. Pacquiao still pulls numbers. He is a living legend with a fan base bigger than the populations of small countries. But that does not mean he belongs in a ring, not against someone like Barrios.
He can come from, I think, 108 all the way to 154 and knock out all these guys.
This is where Joe Rogan's warning starts to sound like prophecy. Because what is at stake here is not just a title. It is a man's legacy, a man's health, a man's future. Pacquiao has been knocked out before. Who could forget that Marquez shot? That nuclear right hand that left him face down, motionless, and silent. That was not just a loss, that was heartbreak for fans worldwide. And now we are supposed to believe that, older, slower, and inactive, he can walk into a championship fight and win? This is not a Rocky movie. There is no training montage that reverses biology. No amount of hill runs or mitt drills with Freddie Roach will bring back 2010.
Guys.
Thank you to Manny Pacquiao. Unbelievable career that we may never have a career like that again.
Spencer Oliver, a former fighter and now a respected analyst, did not mince words. He called it a farce. Pacquiao's last performance was not inspiring, it was a fading echo of greatness. He did not just lose to Yordanis Ugas. He looked human. Slower. Flatter. disconnected. And yet the WBC now ranks him at number 5. Based on what? Nostalgia? If past glory is the new standard, then let us bring back Mike Tyson for a belt. Or Lennox Lewis for a trilogy. Forget merit, just fight your way to the top on memory alone. Critics are right, this fight damages the sport's credibility. Barrios should be defending his title against ranked contenders, not retired senators. Frank Warren did not sugarcoat it either. Pacquiao's return is not a sporting miracle. It is a marketing stunt. George Foreman pulled it off once, but Foreman's style aged well. He fought with size, patience, and power. Pacquiao's game? Speed. Angles. Explosiveness. That does not age well.
That's why Manny Pacquiao, after Marquez knocked him out, Freddie Roach said, I want you to take a year off. That was a bad knockout.
And the damage is not just to boxing's image, it is potentially to Pacquiao himself. Boxing is not golf. It is not tennis. You do not just lose with grace. You lose with bruised ribs, cracked bones, and concussions. Barrios is 30. It only takes one clean shot. And a 46-year-old chin is not made for that. Pacquiao's chin has already endured more punishment than most careers. He has been dropped and rattled repeatedly. Even Oscar de la Hoya, his former opponent, spoke up. At 46, rest is your best friend. Pacquiao may still have the killer instinct, but his body may no longer have the tools to act on it. And Ugas, the man who last beat Pacquiao, said it best, nobody wins this fight. If Barrios wins, it is because Manny was old. If Manny wins, it means boxing has lost its standards. Barrios gains nothing here. Beat a 46-year-old? You get no respect. Lose to one? You become a meme.
Marquez is a bad man.
He's a bad man. I mean, it looked like he was on all the good stuff. It looks like his piss would melt the styrofoam cup.
Even Tim Tszyu, always measured, could not hide his concern. Pacquiao's name carries weight, but that does not mean it can withstand Barrios's fists. This is not sparring. This is not a viral training clip. This is live fire. And here is the painful truth, even the most die-hard Pacquiao fans are conflicted. Nobody wants to see a legend fall. Nobody wants to witness a king crumble in front of the world. But that is the risk this fight presents. And Joe Rogan, love him or not, is simply voicing what many are too afraid to admit. The issue is not Pacquiao's heart, it is his body. The thousands of miles on his legs. The wars. The weight cuts. The surgeries. The quiet injuries. The damage that never left. Maybe he knows this too. Maybe that is why he is doing this now. One last fight, one last check, one last cheer before the curtain falls. But what if that cheer ends in silence?
If they drug tested him, it would ding like a carnival bell. Like one of them Bugs Bunny ones where you get the big mallet.
This is a plea for sanity. For someone, somewhere, to step in and say, enough. For Mario Barrios to ask himself, does he want to be the man who ended a legend, or the man who watched a legend fall and felt no pride? Because let us be honest, if Pacquiao loses, the headlines will not praise Barrios. They will say Pacquiao was too old. And if Pacquiao somehow wins, the sport itself will lose. The floodgates will open. Every retired fighter with a pulse and a Twitter account will try to make a comeback. The sport will descend further into chaos. So what do we do now? We watch. We wait. We hope. Maybe foolishly. That Manny walks out with his health, his pride, and his legend intact. And maybe, just maybe, Mario Barrios hears the warning in time. Because fighting Pacquiao is not just dangerous for Manny. It is dangerous for boxing, for its truth, and for what little legitimacy it has left. The ring lights flicker again. And here comes the final question. What happens when boxing's greatest storyteller walks into a final chapter that no one wanted to read?